Hare Krishna everyone, welcome to our program, our class on Nectar of Devotion, which is a book, a summary study by ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are going to study today Chapter 9. Actually, we started Chapter 9 in the last class, and today we will complete the remaining part of Chapter 9. The title of this chapter is Further Consideration of Devotional Principles. And we will also finish Chapter 10 today, Techniques of Hearing and Remembering. So these are two chapters where part of the 64 limbs of devotional service as being discussed in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the original book by Srila Rupa Goswami. Today is our 12th class on the book Nectar of Devotion. We will do Mangalacharan prayers now, and I would like to request Sita Sharma ji from Kuala Lumpur to kindly help in reciting Mangalacharan prayers. Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, can you show the slide?
Okay, just a minute. Let me know if you see the slide.
Yes, Prabhuji can see the slide now. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Ajnanatammirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya, Chaksur Unmiletam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha, Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Tapitam Yena Bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam, Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yudapada Kamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha, Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagunara Gunasam, Vetam tam sajivam sadvaitam sadvabhutam parijanam sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakhapasamsa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Varsavanu Devi Paramami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare
Thank you, Sita ji. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Very nicely chanted.
Thank you, Prabhu. Welcome, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Yeah. So now we will have a recap of previous class, class number 11, which was about chapter number 9, and we covered this chapter number 9 in part. We could not complete it. The remaining part we will complete today, but whatever we discussed in the last class, let us quickly go through it. So we discussed the 20th limb. Starting from the 20th limb, we started to discuss in the previous class. And this limb number 20 was Tan Nindadi Asahishnuta, which means not tolerating criticism of the Lord or his devotees. And we understood in this limb that if somebody is blaspheming the Lord or his devotees, then we should do two things. Either we should defeat the other person by our knowledgeable arguments, or we should leave that place. So that's what we discussed for limb number 20. And let me just once again remind you, out of these 64 limbs, first 10 were the do's, the pravritti part. The next 10, which is limb number 11 to limb number 20, are the nivritti part. Nivritti part means don't. So this limb number 20 is the last in the series of don'ts. Now from limb number 21 onwards till limb number 64, these are additional limbs of bhakti as described by Srila Rupa Goswami. So limb number 21 is Vaishnav Chinna Dhriti. The Vaishnav Chinna means the symbols of Vaishnavas. So the symbols of Vaishnavas are like wearing tilak and tulsi beads. So the reference that we gave regarding this limb of bhakti was that such Vaishnavas who are wearing tilaka and who are wearing tulsi beads around their neck, they actually make a place like as good as Vaikuntha. Limb number 22, that is Namakshara Dhriti. Namakshara Dhriti means wearing the syllables of holy name. And in this limb, we explained that if somebody writes the holy name of the Lord on the body, that is actually wearing the syllables of holy name, Namakshara Dhriti. And the reference regarding this limb was that Yamadutas do not touch a person who have names of Hari on their bodies. Limb number 23 is Nirmalya Dhriti. Nirmalya means the articles associated with the Lord. Articles associated with the Lord means, for example, when we decorate the deity is wearing some clothes. We decorate the deity with ornaments and other paraphernalia. We decorate the deity with. So we also decorate the deity with garland, flower, etc., etc. So these are the Nirmalya. These all articles are known as Nirmalya. So one should honor the Nirmalya of the Lord, the paraphernalia of the Lord. So the reference mentioned, one who wears the garland offered to Lord Krishna becomes freed from all sins and become liberated. 24th limb was Agre Tandavam. Agre means in front. Tandavam means dancing. So dancing in front of the deity or dancing before the deity. And the reference said, one who dances before the deity burns away his sins of thousands of years. Limb number 25 was Dandavan Natihi, which means bowing down before the deity. And we explained to you a little bit about different types of pranams like Dandavat pranam or Sashtang pranam, and we also explained you what about Panchang pranam. So the ladies do Panchang pranam, and the male people, the males, actually male can do Dandavats also and Panchang pranam both. But ladies don't do the Dandavats, ladies typically do the Panchang pranam. The reference around limb 25 mentioned, one pranam offered to Krishna is more powerful than 10 Ashwamedh Yagyas. Abhyutthanam, limb number 26. It means standing up to receive the Lord. So if there is a procession of the Lord is coming, maybe Rath Yatra is coming or some other Palki procession is coming, and if we are sitting, then out of respect, we stand up to receive the Lord. That is called Abhyutthanam. So if one stands up upon receiving, upon seeing the chariot of the Lord, all the sins of such a person will be destroyed. Limb number 27, Anuvridya, which means following the deity. If there is a procession of a deity going on, and if we join that procession either in the front or in the back or in the side, that is actually known as Anuvridya. That is known as Anuvridya. May I request to kindly mute the microphone? Yeah, okay. So for following the deity, the reference we gave was, if one goes along with the procession of the Lord, he achieves Vaikuntha planets. Then the 15th, the 28th limb was Sthane Gatihi. Sthane Gati means going to the temple of the Lord or the holy places of the Lord. The reference around this limb was, one who enters the temple of the Lord with pure devotion does not take birth again. Limb number 29, Parikrama, which means circumambulating Lord Vishnu. Parikrama of the Lord prevents repeated birth and death in material existence. That was the reference. Limb number 30, Archanam, that is deity worship. So worship of Lord Vishnu opens up the doors of Vaikuntha. That was the reference. Limb number 31, Paricharya. So we explained Paricharya means service to the deity. Archanam and Paricharya, we explained the difference. For Archanam, we need some adhikar. Adhikar means qualification. Not everyone is qualified to do Archanam or deity worship in the temple. But for Paricharya, all people are qualified to do the Paricharya, and we explained the definition of Paricharya, which means serving the Lord like a king. Like for example, when the king arrives in the palace, then there are musical instruments played. So somebody can serve the deity by playing musical instruments. Similarly, when the king arrives, that the palace is decorated. So people can engage, or the devotees can engage themselves in decorating the temple, like that. So there are many services that is known as Paricharya. That is a limb of a bhakti. And then limb number 32 is Geetam. Geetam means singing for the Lord. And the reference mentioned, one who constantly sings Lord's glories is immediately elevated to the Lord's abode. Limb number 33 is Sankirtanam. And we explained the definition of Sankirtanam. Sankirtanam means Uchchair Bhasha. Uchchair Bhasha means loud chanting. So if we speak the glories of the Lord, and we discuss three types of Sankirtan: Nam Sankirtan, Guna Sankirtan, and Leela Sankirtan. So glorifying the name of the Lord, glorifying the activities of the Lord, glorifying the qualities of the Lord. So that is means loud chanting. If one others can also hear, that is Sankirtanam. And then limb number 34, that was the last limb we discussed in the previous class, and this was about Japa. And we emphasized the difference between Sankirtan and Japa. Japa is actually soft chanting. Soft chanting means Su Laghu Uchchare. Su Laghu. Very softly chanting. That means you chant in such a intensity of voice that you only can hear it. If others can also hear it, then it becomes Sankirtan. So that is Japa. So like you can see here, what we are doing here is we are studying the limbs of Vaidhi Bhakti. And you can see how we are using our senses, using our mind to do various activities for the Lord. And that's how we are developing our love and devotion towards the Lord. So that is how it is known as Vaidhi Bhakti, limbs of Vaidhi Bhakti. So today I will continue with the chapter number 9, the limbs starting from limb number 35. So I will skip this part of various slides that are there to explain the background of Nectar of Devotion. But here I would like to mention where we are in the whole study right now. We have already covered chapter number 8, from chapter 1 to chapter 8, and first part of chapter 9. Today in this class, we are going to discuss the remaining part of chapter 9 and the complete chapter number 10. So once again, I would like to revise to you this particular slide, which in my opinion is the slide to quickly recap on Nectar of Devotion. And here I have been explaining to you in the previous classes also that this is Nectar of Devotion actually is the science of devotion. So this book is comprised with a lot of definitions. Here Srila Rupa Goswami, the expert acharya, has explained bhakti in very scientific terms. And when he is going to explain bhakti, he is not going to explain ordinary bhakti. Ordinary bhakti means bhakti mixed with various other activities. He is going to explain Uttama Bhakti. Uttama Bhakti means pure devotion. He is not going to explain devotion mixed with jnana or mixed with karma, etc., etc. But he is going to explain to us pure devotion. And what we understood here with Uttama Bhakti is that Uttama Bhakti definition says that it is actually an activity, Shilanam. And then Anushilanam. Anushilanam means this activity is actually done according to some guidance, some basis. There is some. It is not done out of whims and fancies. It is done with some guidance, and that is why it is called as Anushilanam, following someone. Then, for whom it is done, then it is Krishna Anushilanam. It is done for Lord Krishna, either his devotees or expansions of Lord Krishna like Sri Ram, Sri Narsimdev, etc. And then Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam. Anukulena means it has to be done with favorable intent. It is not to be done with an animical intent. It has to be done with a favorable intent. So that is the primary definition of bhakti. It's an activity. Activity for Krishna. Then we discussed three different types of Uttama Bhakti. One is Sadhan Bhakti, then Bhav Bhakti and Prem Bhakti. Then what I am suggesting to you is that let us continue to focus our attention on Sadhan Bhakti first, definition of Sadhan Bhakti. We'll discuss Bhav Bhakti and Prem Bhakti later, starting from chapter number 15 and 16. So Sadhan Bhakti means, sadhan means some device, some instrument, taking help of something to perform an activity. So here sadhan means we practice doing bhakti using our senses and using our mind. And we have 10 senses. 5 senses are knowledge acquiring senses: ear, nose, tongue, skin, and ear, nose, tongue, skin. Fifth one is eyes. And then we have 5 working senses, which means hands, legs, speech, and 2 genitals. So these are working senses, and these are we have 5 knowledge acquiring senses. So using these senses and our mind, we engage them in doing the service of the Lord. And that is why it is known as sadhan bhakti. Then sadhan bhakti has to be done in 2 possible ways. One is called Vaidhi, and the second one is called Raganuk. We will discuss a little bit about Raganuk today also, but for the time being, let us focus mainly on Vaidhi sadhan. Vaidhi sadhan means that all these activities of sadhan bhakti, which require our senses and our mind, has to be done according to scriptures. Scriptures mention that you should do this activity like this, you should do this activity like this. So we should follow Vaidhi. Vaidhi means rules and regulations. And then because Vaidhi sadhan bhakti is based on scriptures, that is how we describe the practitioners of sadhan bhakti in 3 categories. One is advanced, second one is medium, and the third one is the beginner, like Uttama, Madhyama, and Kanishtha. So according to the understanding of their scriptures, they are classified into 3 categories. And then below these 3 adhikaris are Sukritinas. Sukritinas are not pure devotees. Like Uttama Bhakti is about pure devotion. Sukritinas are those people who are not pure. They have karma philosophy and they have jnana philosophy also included in their practice of bhakti. That is why they are at the level lower than adhikaris. And we discussed 4 Sukritinas: Artho, Artho, Jigyasu, and Jnani. Like that, we discussed 4 Sukritinas. Then we discussed that bhakti is independent. Bhakti is independent means bhakti does not require any qualification. Anyone who is a human being, can start doing bhakti. He may be a murderer, he may be a criminal, whatever he may be, but that does not restrict such a person to do bhakti of the Lord. So that is what it means, bhakti is independent. And then how to practically execute Vaidhi sadhan bhakti, we started discussing these 64 limbs. First 10 limbs were do's, next 10 limbs were don'ts, and then from limb number 21 onwards, we are discussing additional limbs. So we have already discussed till list number 34, item number 34. We are going to discuss till item number 35 from this class. If this much summary of Nectar of Devotion is clear to you, I think you are in good shape. If other definitions like Bhav Bhakti, Prema Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti is still not clear to you, then you can still wait. We have opportunity to discuss about these things in our later class. So I'm repeating again and again because I'm still getting feedback that some of the devotees are finding the class of on Nectar of Devotion a little difficult because of its little scientific nature. So I'm repeating it again and again. And I also request the devotees who are finding it little difficult to spend some time and identify areas where they are finding it difficult, and you can let me know with write me your questions or book some time with me. We can discuss and try to resolve those doubts. Okay, so we start with list item number 35, limb number 35, and it's a very interesting limb. We'll take some 4-5 slides to discuss. This is known as Vigyapti. Now, Vigyapti means submissive appeals. Submissive appeals means we try to share our heart. We try to make a prayer to the Lord in private. That means submissive appeals. We share our desire, we share our prayer to the Lord. And this is discussed in Bhakti Samrat Sindhu in 6 verses. And the references are given from various literature. But first of all, the glorification of Vigyapti is done. So why Vigyapti has been chosen? A reference has been given from Skanda Purana regarding Vigyapti. What it says, by offering submissive appeals to the Lord with words, the bolt of the door of liberation is released. By offering submissive appeals to the Lord with words, the bolt of the door. The bolt of the door means if you are so the mukti dwar are open. The mukti dwar are set open for a person who makes such a submissive appeal to the Lord. Now, later, Srila Rupa Goswami describes there are 3 ways we can do these submissive appeals. We can do these prayers. 3 types of Vigyapti. And what are these 3 types of Vigyapti? One is known as Samprarthanatmika. So you might have heard this name word Prarthana. Prarthana means prayer. So here it is mentioned, one Vigyapti is Samprarthanatmika. Here there is a prayer offered by the devotee with lot of feeling. Feelingly offering prayers with lot of feelings. Then the second one is Dainya Bodhika. Here the word is Dainya. Dainya word comes from Deen. Deen means which is humble, which is finding himself or herself in a very humble position at the moment, feeling very insignificant in front of the Lord, like that. So feeling very insignificant in front of the Lord, and with that feeling of humility, humble admission of incompetence, Dainya Bodhika. So that is Vigyapti number 2, prayer number 2. Second type of prayer. Then the third prayer is Lalsa Mai. Lalsa means actually hankering. Hankering means, like for example, when we are greedy and we want something, that is called hankering. We want something out of greed, out of lolya, out of lobe. We want something. So these are expressions of longing. Now the word greed actually is used in a negative connotation. But here lalsa or greed actually is used in a positive connotation because it is pertaining to the Lord. It is known as expressions of longing. Expressions of longing means dearly needing or dearly wanting something very dearly wanting something for the Lord, from the Lord. So that is expressions of longing. So Lalsa Mai prayer happens at a bhava stage. Now this is important to understand. So Danya Bodhika is easy to understand. It is humble admission of our incompetence. Oh my Lord, I am so fallen. I am so sinful. I am so incompetent, like that. So praying like that in front of the Lord, these are called Danya Bodhika prayers. But Samprarthanatmika and Lalsamai. What is the difference between Samprarthanatmika and Lalsamai? Samprarthanatmika prayers are not offered at the stage of bhav. Now, we just now discussed three stages of Uttama Bhakti. One is Vaidhi Bhakti, then the second one is Bhava Bhakti, and the third one is Prema Bhakti. So when we do Vaidhi Bhakti, we do not have spontaneous devotion. We do not have natural attraction for the Lord. We do bhakti of the Lord at the Vaidhi stage, at the beginning stage, out as a duty, as a matter of duty. We want to follow some rules and regulation, and as a matter of duty, we do that bhakti at Vaidhi stage. But when we do that bhakti at a Vaidhi stage and we continue to advance, then slowly and gradually we get that spontaneous devotion for the Lord. We get that rag, we get that bhav, we get that mood of devotion of the Lord. So, samprarthanatmika uh, prayer is offered by that devotee who is not at the bhava stage, who is yet to achieve bhava stage, who has not achieved bhava stage. So, if such a devotee makes this prayer, that is known as samprarthanatmika prayer. And on the contrary, on the opposite side, lalsa mai prayer is done by that devotee who is already at a bhava stage, who has a very natural attraction for the Lord. Uh, and in that natural attraction for the Lord, he makes that prayer. Now, Srila Rupa Goswami gives examples from the scriptures of each of these type of prayers: Samprarthanatmika, Dainya Bodhika, and Lalsamai. And here are the examples. Here are the references. One reference is from Sri Padma Purana. This reference is about samprarthanatmika prayer, feelingly praying with feelings. Now, what does this say? Yuvatinam yatha yuni, yunam cha yuvatau yatha, manobhiramate tadvan, manobhiramatam tvayi. Now, what does it mean? It's a very interesting verse. It says, Yuvati Nam Yatha Yuni. Yuvati means a lady, a girl, a young girl. And Yuni actually means for a young boy. Just as young girls are naturally attracted to young boys, and vice versa. Vice versa says, Yunam cha yuvatau yatha. Yuvatau means, Yunam means the boys, the young boys are attracted towards yuvatis. Yunam cha yuvatau yatha. Yatha means like that. And like young boys are attracted to young girls. May my mind be attracted to you spontaneously. Now you see here, with this verse, you can very clearly and easily understand the difference between Vaidhi Bhakti and Bhava Bhakti. So, when we see the interaction between young boy and a young girl, the attraction between the young boy and a young girl is very natural. A young boy does not need to go to school and learn from books how to get attracted towards a girl. He doesn't go and read books. I should read this, I should do this, I should practice this so that I can become attracted towards a girl. Neither a girl goes to a school and read books to learn how to become naturally attracted to a boy, how to become attracted to a boy. The girl and the boy doesn't have to study books to learn how to get attracted towards each other. So why I am telling you the example of books? Because Vaidhi Bhakti actually depends upon the scriptures. It depends upon the books. From books, we follow certain rules and regulation, and that is how we develop, by practice, we develop our attraction towards the Lord. So that is called Vaidhi Bhakti. But in Bhava Bhakti or in Raganuga Bhakti, where there is a rag, where there is attraction, natural attraction, and the natural attraction is of what kind? Like a boy gets spontaneously attracted towards a girl, young girl, and a young girl gets spontaneously attracted towards a young boy. So they don't follow books; they simply follow their their propensity to get attracted towards each other. That's how they are getting attracted. So that is the fundamental difference between Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti or Bhava Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti. one has the attraction is developed by practice, that is Vaidhi Bhakti, and when the attraction is naturally there, that is actually called Rag Bhakti. So here, this example that has been given, this example is given of a prayer which is Samprarthanatmika. So here the person who is praying does not have that natural attraction for the Lord. And what kind of natural attraction? A boy having attraction for a girl and a girl having attraction for a boy. That natural attraction is not there. So this person is praying that I have that natural attraction for you, O my Lord, like a boy has it for a girl and a girl has it for a boy. So this is an example of Samprarthanatmika Bhakti. Samprarthanatmika prayer, Vigyapti. Then the second Vigyapti example is Dainya Bodhika. And this reference comes from Padma Purana. Dainya means feeling ourselves humble, feeling ourselves incompetent, feeling ourselves insignificant in front of the Lord. So the example of Dainya Bodhika Vigyapti is Mat tulyo na asti papatma na aparadhi cha kaschana pariharepi lajjame kimbruve purushottama. So here the prayer is like this. Mat tulyo na asti pap atma. Pap atma means sinful. There is no one as sinful as me. Mat tulyo. Tulyo means comparing. If you compare anyone, there is nobody who is same as sinful as like I am. Mat tulyo na asti pap atma. Then na aparadhi cha kaschana. No one is greater offender than me. Aparadhi. Aparadhi means the criminal, an offender. No one is a greater offender than me. Parihare api lajja me. Lajja, I am feeling ashamed. I am ashamed when I ask you to remove my sins and my crimes, my aparadhs. Parihare pi lajja me. So this person is praying to remove his sinful reactions and any offenses he might have done. So he's praying for that, and he's feeling ashamed that last time I also committed these sins. Last time I also became an offender. Last time also I'm actually asked prayed to you to forgive me from my sinful activities and so on. Kim Bruve Purushottama. What can I say, O Purushottama? So you can see here how the person who is praying is feeling very, very lowly, very humble, very insignificant, very incompetent in front of the Lord. Now, here in the commentary in Nectar of Devotion, Srila Prabhupada gives some additional points. He's saying that the Lord excuses one who sincerely begs for forgiveness. If we sincerely beg for forgiveness, Lord excuses. One should not take advantage of Lord's merciful nature and expect to be excused repeatedly. Such a mentality is for the shameless person. So when we go in front of the Lord and beg for forgiveness, so we should understand that although the Lord will beg, will forgive our sins, will forgive our aparadh, but if we continue to do those sins, continue to do those aparadhs, only thinking that next time I do the sin or aparadh, I'll once again come in front of the Lord and beg for forgiveness. So that is something which is shameless. When we beg for forgiveness, we make a resolve in our heart that we will not repeat that kind of a sin or a crime that we have done. So that is the additional notes and comments Srila Prabhupada has given in the commentary. Then we take the example of Lalasa Mai prayer. And this very nice example Rupa Goswami has given from Narad Pancharatra. And this is coming from Narad Pancharatra. So this is a prayer by Narad Muni. So Narad Muni is praying to Lord Vishnu. He's saying, Kada Gambhira. Just a minute, let me open this verse 55. Kada Gambhiraya Vacha Shriya Yukto Jagatpate Chamara Vyagra Hastam Mam Evam Kurva Iti Vakshasi. So let us see what is saying. Kada Gambhiraya Vacha. Kada Gambhiraya Vacha. Gambhiraya means in very deep, grave voice. And So Narad Muni is praying to Lord Vishnu, O Jagatpati, when will you accompanied by Lakshmi Devi? Shriyo Yukto. Shriyo Yukto means you are accompanied by Shri. Shri means Lakshmi. Jagatpate, Ho Jagatpate. Ho Jagatpati, when will you accompanied by Lakshmi Devi with a deep voice say to me, Kada Gambhiraya Vacha. When will you speak to me with a deep voice? And what is the occasion? When you are actually together with Lakshmi Devi. Chamara Vyagra Hastam Mam. I am eagerly holding Chamara. Chamara means you see that a fan-like structure which have lot of hair in the end, and a rod is connected with that with those hair coming out from that rod. And then, like you might have seen in the palaces of the king, when the king is officiating the court, then there are one person standing on the right, one person standing on the left. They are actually fanning the king like this with using that chamara. So here Narad Muni is saying that I am holding that chamara with lot of eagerness. Vyagra. Vyagra means eagerness. Hastam means hand. Mam means, Narad Muni is saying, in my hand. I am holding this chamara eagerly in my hand to serve you. Actually, I am already fanning you. I am already serving you with my chamara. But when, oh my dear Lord Vishnu, with a deep, grave voice, when you are associating or when you are already in the company of your good wife, Lakshmi Devi, when will you speak to me in a deep voice? Narad Muni, don't fan like this, fan actually like this. Evam kurva iti vakshasi. Iti vakshasi means, when will you speak like this? When will you give me that command? Oh my dear Narad, don't fan me like this. You are fanning me too fast. You are fanning me too slow. Fan me a little faster, or fan me a little slower, like that. So here you can see in this prayer that Narad Muni is making to Lord Vishnu, there is a lot of intimacy. Uh, Narad Muni is exhibiting a mood of a personal servant of the Lord. He is already having that mood that I am a personal servant of the Lord. And why the Lord is not demanding me to do a service in a particular way? If I am fanning the Lord, why is not Lord asking me to fan faster or slower, like that? So this is called Lalsa Mai. Lalsa Mai means the devotee is experiencing a relationship with the Lord with lot of deep emotion. He is experiencing that relationship. And in that relationship, he wants to go deeper. He wants to perfect that relationship, like that. So this is the mood of a Lalsa Mai prayer. So we as sadhakas, we as practitioners, we are not at this stage of lalsa. That is a very advanced stage, a bhava stage of bhakti, which Narad Muni is exhibiting here. So here there are some bullet points at the bottom. Let us look at them. Narad is eagerly playing to become personal associate as a menial servant. Menial servant. Menial servant means, like in the court of a king, there are two very insignificant people. When the king is talking, nobody is looking at them. Actually, nobody noticing them. Nobody knows what their name are. Right. So these are very menial servant. According to one's taste, one desires a relationship with the Lord. So at a bhava stage, what happens is that the living entity understands what is the relationship of that living entity with the Lord. So there are 5 types of relationships possible. One is Shantaras, one is Dasyaras, one is Sakhyaras, one is Vatsalyaras, and one is Madhuryaras. Shantaras means neutral, Dasya means servanthood, and Sakhya means friend, then parent, and then maybe conjugal relationship as a lover. So according to one's taste, one desires a relationship with the Lord. And this is a very advanced stage. Realization of that relationship is a stage of perfect liberation. So already a person who has achieved that stage in bhakti is already liberated. The mukti is already there. But now he is trying to go deeper in the personal connection with the Lord. So here this stage is known as Swarup Siddhi. Swarup Siddhi means the role of the living entity in the spiritual world is clear now. Either he's a servant, or he's a friend, or he's a parent, or he's a lover, or he's in relationship with neutral relationship with the Lord. So either of that relationship is very clear with the Lord in the Swarup Siddhi stage. In such a stage, one eagerly desires to be reinstated in that natural position. So that desire is very, very strong for such a person at that stage. So this is known as Lalsa Mai Vigyapti or Lalsa Mai prayer. So I hope you can understand the difference between Prarthana Mai and then Danya Bodhika and then Lalsa Mai. Here, Srila Rupa Goswami finally conclude this section on Vigyapti by making one another example of Lalsamai prayer. And in this Lalsamai prayer, there's a subtle difference between Samprarthanatmika and Lalsamai, which will be clear to you. He's saying, this reference is again from Narad Pancharatra. He's saying, O lotus-eyed Lord, when will I dance on the bank of Yamuna, singing your names with tears in my eyes? When will I dance on the bank of Yamuna, singing your names with tears in my eyes? Now, here it might appear to us that this is a Samprarthanatmika prayer. Why? Because here the person who is praying is actually longing for dancing on the bank of Yamuna. So he is not having that kind of a bhava still in his heart. He is not having that bhav in his heart, but he is longing for that bhav. So Srila Jiva Goswami is saying that prayer is for the bhav which has not manifested yet. So what is that bhav? When will I dance on the bank of Yamuna? So Jiva Goswami clarifies here that prayer filled with longing for bhav is also called as lalsa mai. So if somebody has a longing for attaining a particular bhav, is also classified as lalsa mai prayer. So that was the limb number 35. Took some time to describe, but I hope that gives you a good idea about specifically the difference between Vaidhi Bhakti as well as the Bhav Bhakti or Bhakti in spontaneous attraction of the Lord or Raganuga Bhakti. Then Stava Patha, that is limb number 36. Stava Patha. Stava means reciting compositions of praise. Compositions of praise. For example, if a devotee writes something in the praise of the Lord, glorifying the Lord, so that will become as a stava. Stava means compositions of praise. Here, in verse number 157, Srila Rupa Goswami explains, give two examples of what is stava. He's saying Gita, mainly 11th chapter and Gautamiya Tantra, contains many authorized prayers called stavas. So Gautamiya Tantra is one scripture, and Gita you all very well know. And chapter 11 is all about universal form of the Lord. Now here in this universal form of the Lord chapter, you would remember that when Lord Krishna shows his universal form to Arjuna, Arjuna starts making a lot of prayers. You are like this, you are like this, you give me this emotion, you give me that emotion, etc. etc. So that is the prayer personally offered by Arjuna. That is his personal compositions of praise. So that is why Gita, mainly 11th chapter, is an example of reciting compositions of praise. So like that you can understand the meaning of word stava. Personal composition glorifying the Lord are known as stava. So here example is given, reference is given from Skanda Puran. It is being said, Shri Krishna stave ratnaughair yesham jivva tva alankrita namasya muni siddhanam vandaniya divaukasam. What it says? Devotees whose tongues are decorated with jewel-like prayers to Sri Krishna are respected and worshipped by Siddhas and Devatas. Namasya Muni Siddhanam Vandaniya Divaukasam. Divaukasam means resident of heavens. So what it means is that those devotees whose tongues are decorated with jewels of prayers in glorification of Lord Krishna. Uh, for such devotees, even the Siddhas and even the Devatas actually pray to them. They worship them. So that is the glorification of reciting notable prayers or reciting compositions of praise, the stava. Here, Srila Prabhupada writes in Nectar of Devotion commentary that we have studied from Srimad Bhagavad Gita that people who are less intelligent actually worship demigods, they worship devatas. But people who are devotees of the Lord, they are worshipped by the devatas. So you see the contrast. People who worship the devatas are known as alpa buddhi, less intelligent. But people or devotees who worship the Lord by prayer, by praying the Lord, are being worshipped by the demigods themselves. So that is the difference between demigod worshippers and the devotees of the Lord. So a nice example or nice mention of difference between devotees and the demigod worshippers given by Srila Prabhupada. Then from Narsimha Puran, it says, स्तोत्रैस्तवैश्च देवाग्रे या स्तुति मधुसूदनम सर्वपाप विनुर्मुक्तो विष्णु लोकम अवप्नुयात्. One who praises Madhusudana with stotras and stavas in front of his deity form is freed from all sinful reactions and attains Vaikuntha Loka, Vishnu Lokam. Stotrais, stavais. So he has used here two words in this verse, stotra and stava. One who praises Madhusudana with stotra and stava. What is the benefit? He is freed from sinful reaction and attains Vaikuntha Lok. Now here, Srila Jiva Goswami in his commentary explains the fine difference between stotra and stava. Stotras are those prayers which are found in scriptures and devotees practice them. So like for example, there are Srimad Bhagavatam and there are many other books where you will find there are standard prayers, the prayers offered by devatas to Lord Krishna, prayers offered by many other devotees to Lord Krishna, etc., etc. So these are known as stotras, which are found in scriptures. And devotees can actually read those stotras, standard stotras, and offer it to the Lord. So that is very well a limb of bhakti. But then, what are stavas? Stavas are self-composed prayers expressing one's personal emotions. So these are self-composed. So if some devotee writes his own prayer, compose it itself, that is known as stava. So that is the difference between stotra and stava. So reciter can practice a stotra with personal devotion. So that is also known as stava. If there is a stotra, means a scriptural prayer, a standard prayer found in found in scriptures. But if a devotee is reciting those stotra with his personal devotion, with devotion mixed in that prayer, then that stotra can also be called as a stava. So these are very fine differences between these two words. No need to bother about them too much. Just understand that stotra is a prayer, standard prayer found in scripture, and stava is a prayer which is a personal composition. So that is why stava is known as composition of praise or notable prayers, one who notes these prayers. Then limb number 37 is Naivedya Aswada. Naivedya means eating prasad. The reference is from Padma Puran. One who eats prasad, food remnants of the deity, and takes charnamrit, which is water offered to the Lord's lotus feet and mixed with tulsi, achieves the results of thousands of sacrifices. So thousands of yajnas, if you do, that result is okay. But simply if you eat prasad offered to the Lord and take charnamrit offered to the Lord, you get the same benefit as you would get for thousands of sacrifices. So here I am showing you here a very nice plate you will find in some of our ISKCON centers how a prasad plate looks like. So it is a very wholesome meat which uh, cooked with lot of devotion and then with lot of purity and with lot of cleanliness. Then it is offered to the Lord. And while we are offering these food items to the Lord, we mix tulsi leaf in each of these items and we recite some prayers before the Lord and request the Lord to accept this food stuff. And that's how we offer this bhoga or food items to the Lord. That is known as Naivedya. The food items offered to the Lord are known as Naivedya. Item number 38, Padya Aswada, drinking Charnamrit. So what is Charnamrit? Charnamrit is water that has bathed the deity before dressing them in the morning. This water is scented with perfumes and flowers. When you pour this water on the body of the deity, the water glides on the body and finally comes gliding through Lord's lotus feet. It is not thrown away, it is collected very respectfully and graciously in a pot. This water is also mixed with yogurt. This is very, very tasty. It is sweet, it is smelling very nice, and it has a very tremendous spiritual value. So I'll show you a picture of Charnamrit as you would see in the temples. So in this pot you can see Charnamrit is there mixed with tulsi leaves. There might be some flower petals, some gandha means some scent. Itra would be mixed with this water mixed with yogurt, etc. It is distributed to the devotees who come to the temple, and as Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport in Nectar of Devotion, has a very significant spiritual value. When you drink this Charnamrit, it nourishes your spiritual well-being. So Padya Aswad. Now what are the benefits of Padya Aswad? Those who drink the foot water of the Lord achieve the supreme goal, even though they have not performed charity, sacrifices, Vedic study or deity worship. So you do charity, sacrifices, Vedic study, deity worship. That benefit is on one hand, but simply accepting the food water or Charnamrit of the Lord, he can achieve the supreme goal like that. That has been the glorification of Padya Aswad, the limb number 38 in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Limb number 39, Dhoop Malyadi Saurabhyam. Dhoop means incense, agarbatti. Malya means the garland. Adi means other items. And we will see the example of these other items. Saurabhyam. So Saurabh means in smell. The smell of these different articles. Dhupa and Malya. There are references from Hari Bhakti Sudhodaya, Tantra Shastra and Agastya Samhita. What are these? One should not go to see. Okay, here in this bullet, Srila Prabhupada is giving some guidance. When we are offering the dhupa and mala and the garland and other articles, he is making a little point here. He's saying one should not go to see a saint or the deity in the temple without any offering. The offering may be very humble, like a flower, fruit, water, incense, a morsel of rice, a morsel or rice or flour, whatever is possible. So, if we are going to meet a saintly person, a sadhu, or if we are entering into the temple to have a darshan of the Lord, we should take at least some small item or any item for the deity or for that saintly person to offer it to him. So that is Srila Prabhupada mentioned. And then the reference from Hari Bhakti Sudhodaya, it says, this is about Dhoop Saurabhyam. So Dhoop, Malya, Adi. So he'll give one reference for Dhoop, one reference for Malya, and one reference for worshipping of the Lord. So what is saying for Dhoop? By smelling the incense offered to the deity, one becomes cured of the poisonous effects of the snake of samsara or karma. as much as one becomes cured of a snake bite by smelling the prescribed medicinal herbs. So here, the smell of agarbatti or the smell of the incense offered to the Lord is compared to the smell of that medicinal herb. And when is this medicinal herb offered to that to the person? When a snake bites to that person. So when a snake bites, the person becomes unconscious. How to revive that consciousness? So there is a medicinal herb which is brought near to the nostrils of that person. When the person smells that medicinal herb, he once again becomes conscious. Similarly, if that smell of agarbatti enters the nostrils of a person who is living in this sansar, uh, then what happens with the smell of this incense? The snake of samsar, uh, the poisonous effect of the snake of samsar gets cured. So the poisonous effects of the snake of samsar is cured by just smelling that dhupa offered to the Lord. That is the glorification. So next time when you go to the temple and you are smelling the incense offered to the deity, you can understand that how simply by smelling that incense, your sinful reactions are going away. Like that. Now, I would like to point out here Vaidhi Bhakti. So, Vaidhi Bhakti, by definition, what we studied, Vaidhi Bhakti means using our senses and using our mind. Now, here you can see the clear example is using our sense of smell. Now, you'll see more example like that. So, that was Dhupa Saurabhyam. Now, Tantra Shastra says about Malya Saurabhyam. Malya means garland. When the fragrance of the garlands of the deity enters the nostrils, the bondage created by piles of sin is immediately destroyed. Simply, if the pujari in the temple gives you the garland of the deity and you smells that garland, you can see the piles of sins of janmas, of many births get immediately destroyed. Here, Srila Prabhupada in the commentary also is mentioning about one pastime from Srimad Bhagavatam. And this pastime is of four Kumaras, Chatush Kumar. The four Kumaras were impersonalists, but after smelling the tulsi leaves offered to the Lord, they became devotees. So if you remember, we studied four Sukritinas, Artha, Artharthi, Artho, Artharthi, Jigyasu, and Jnani. So, Jnani example I gave you the four Kumaras. Now, who are these four Kumaras? These four Kumaras are four small young Brahmana boys. These are sons of Lord Brahma. But these sons of Lord Brahma, they were not naturally attracted towards the Lord. Although they knew about the Lord, but they were naturally attracted towards impersonal liberation, towards mukti. Not for devotional service, not for bhakti, but for mukti. So, one day what so happened was that these four boys, they got the opportunity to come close to Lord Vishnu, the Lord. And the tulsi that was offered on the lotus feet of the Lord, the smell of that tulsi leaves entered their nostrils. That tulsi leaf, the smell of this tulsi leaf entered their nostrils. And when the smell of that tulsi leaves entered their nostrils, their mind changed. They become attracted towards the personal form of the Lord. So from impersonalists, from those spiritualists who were hankering for impersonal liberation, for mukti, they now become interested in the bhakti. They become interested in the devotional service of the Lord. So that is what it is said. The four Kumaras were impersonalists, but after smelling the tulsi leaves offered to the Lord, they become devotees. And you might find this very insignificant, that how just by smelling tulsi one can become a devotee. But there are many examples in the history of ISKCON movement where people were passing outside from the temple of ISKCON, some center, some part of the world, somewhere, somebody might have performed arati in the morning or the agarbatti in the temple room was emanating nice fragrance, and the person passed outside from the temple on the road maybe, and that smell of that agarbatti entered into that person's nostril, and he becomes so charmed and so attracted because of that incense smell, that fragrance. He then thought, where is this smell coming from? And chasing that smell, he went inside the temple. When he inside the temple, he was so attracted to the smell that he kept on sitting in the temple, and then that agarbatti smell actually became the reason for him or her to become a devotee in his coming life, in his future life. So it can be so attractive, this nice agarbatti smells, it can actually change someone's life and bring them close to the lotus feet of the Lord ultimately. So this is one of the limbs, Dhoop Malyadi Saurabhyam. So this was about Malya. So now, smelling incense. So this is reference from Agastya Samhita. The nose is smelling flowers, and gandha offered to the Lord is the cause of complete purification in this world. So simply smelling the fragrance offered to the Lord. So another way we can offer fragrance is by using cotton and using some scented oil, like we call it itra. In Hindi we call it itra. So with that itra, we put it on the cotton, and then we offer it to the Lord and put it on the lotus feet of the Lord. So that is also that is known as gandha. Then limb number 40 is Shri Murte Sparshanam, touching the deity. Now, before giving the reference about this Sri Murte Sparshanam, Srila Prabhupada in the commentary of Nectar of Devotion gives a little background around it. And he says that not everyone is qualified to touch the deity of the Lord. So when you enter into the temple, there are many different type of people. There are pujaris, there are devotees, there are some people who come for the first time, and so on. So Srila Prabhupada gives a little background around this limb before actually jumping to the reference that has been given by Srila Rupa Goswami. He's saying, due to unclean habits, people are prohibited to enter a temple. So you might have heard that sometimes people are not allowed to come inside the temple or come close to the garbhagriha of the deities. So there is a room where the deities are located, where the deities are installed. So many times people are not allowed to enter into the private chambers of the deity. Only some qualified people, some people who are we are approved to go inside the temple room, they can go. And the reason is mainly based on, due to unclean habits, people are prohibited to enter a temple. So people may have unclean habits. Unclean habits are, maybe they don't take bath, they remain unclean by virtue of maybe their profession. For example, they are in the profession of sweeping or maybe cleaning toilets, etc., etc., like that. So because of unclean habits, or maybe they might be eating meat, like that. So because of these unclean habits, people are prohibited to enter a temple. Like you might remember in the Gandhiji's time, in pre-independence era, Gandhiji, when he came to know that certain class of people were not allowed to enter into the temple, so he protested on that such people should be given a name called Harijana, and then they should be allowed into the temple, like that. So here, the reason why certain people are not allowed into the temple is because of their unclean habits. Later, people can actually exploit these rules and misuse these rules also. But this is a proper reasoning that is given why people are not allowed to enter into the temple sometimes. So for such people, there are other facilities in the temple are available so that they can be elevated, for example, by the association of pure devotees. So sadhus never prohibit anyone to come closer to them. Anyone can associate with sadhus. They can hear Krishna Katha. So there is no bondage or there is no restriction around it. So there are facilities available so that such people who are having unclean habits, they can be elevated. But anyone who is purified actually can enter the temple. So people who are clean, who have taken bath, they can enter the temple. And then those who are properly initiated and following the rules and regulations only can touch the deity. So there are gradations. So people who are clean, people who are actually initiated, they have taken diksha, they are brahmanical initiated, they have not only taken diksha, but they have taken much stricter vows for purity and cleanliness, and they are following those rules and regulations very diligently, very sincerely. So such people are allowed to come close to the deity. So the reasoning is mainly to maintain the purity of a place, of the deity. So now, in glorification of this Sri Murte Sparshanam, reference is given from Vishnu Dharmottara. A pure, faithful, and qualified devotee who touches the deity of Vishnu becomes freed from the bondage of sin and attains all desires. So here again you can see a qualifier is there. Who can touch the deity? A pure, faithful, and qualified devotee. So this is verse number 165. So here it says, Sparshatva Vishnor Adhishthanam Pavitraha Pavitraha Shraddha Yanvitaha. So here you can see in the words, in the reference, the word uses Pavitra. Shraddha Yanvitaha. Shraddha Yanvitaha means who has faith. And like that, he has, there are pre-qualification to touch the deity of the Lord. But anyone can come to the temple and take darshan of the Lord. For that, there is no restriction. Okay, limb number 41. This is Sri Murte Darshanam. So previous one was Sparshanam. Sparshanam means touching. Darshanam means having a darshan of the Lord, having a looking at the deity of the Lord. This is reference from Varaha Puran. It says, Vrindavane tu Govindam ye pashyanti vasundhare nate yamapuram yanti punya kritam gatim. So, since it is from Varaha Puran, and Lord Varaha's wife name is Bhumi Devi, Earth. So here, Lord Varaha is speaking to Mother Earth. He is saying, O Earth, those who see Lord Govinda in Vrindavan do not go to the city of Yama. Nate Yamapuram Gyanti. Yamapuram means city of Yama. But Yanti Punya Kritam Gatim, achieve bhakti, the goal of all piety. Punya Kritam. Punya Kritam has been translated as bhakti by Srila Jiva Goswami. Achieve bhakti, the goal of all piety. Punya Kritam. So, any piety we do, the ultimate result that we are hankering, or we are knowingly or unknowingly aiming for it, is bhakti of the Lord. So, that is why Punya Kritam has been translated as bhakti here. So what is the benefit of darshanam? We don't go to the city of Yama. The Yamaraj messengers don't come to take us at the time of our death. Limb number 42 is Aratrika Utsava Darshanam. Aratrika means Arti, and Utsava means festival, Darshanam. So there are different references from Skanda Puran, Bhavishya Puran, and Agni Puran. For Arti, it is said, the Lord's face lit by the light of Arti lamp burns all fast sinful reactions of millions of years, including the sin of killing of a Brahmana and so on. So, the Lord's face lit by the light of Arti lamp. What does it mean? Specifically, it is true for South Indian temple. So in South Indian temple, traditional temples, if you go, then the Garbhagriha where the deities are installed, they don't put these artificial lights, the lights of the electricity, they don't use that light. So generally they would light a lamp to have some light, some illumination in that room. And when the Aarti of the Lord is performed in such a room, so the lamp that is used to perform Aarti, when the light of that lamp falls on the glorious lotus-like face of the Lord, the beauty of that face with the light of Aarti lamp reflected back is so nice, so potent, that it can actually burn the past sinful reactions of millions of years. including the sin of killing a Brahmana. So killing of a Brahmana, like Brahma Hatya, is considered very grave in the Vedic literature. And we are not talking of Brahmana who are Brahmana only by virtue of their surname. These are Brahmana means they are very elevated, exalted, pure devotees of the Lord. So that is Brahmanas. Very learned in scriptures. So those are the people. So if somebody kills such a person, that kind of a killing is considered very sinful. So that Lord's face lit by the light of Aarti lamp actually can burn all the past sinful reactions. So that is the glory of Aarti. Utsava, festival. Even a Chandal who sees the Lord on his chariot during the festival simply out of curiosity becomes an associate of the Lord. So if a Utsava is happening and a low class person means a dog eater who is known as Chandal. He just see the Lord simply out of curiosity. Let me see what activity is going on here. And just by that curiosity, if he looks at the Lord, darshan of the Lord, and then that has the potency to become that he becomes an associate of the Lord. Similarly, another example is of worship. One who sees the worship of the deity of the temple with joy, devotion, and faith attains eternal service to the Lord. So that is what the Aratika Utsava Darshanam limb has been described, limb number 42. So we have still some few slides. Now maybe I can complete those slides in another 10 minutes, should not take me more time. So do you allow me to proceed for another 10 minutes, or do you think we should do it in our next class? Should we proceed? Any feedback?
Yes, Prabhu, we can finish.
We can finish? Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Shravanam. So Shravanam is a limb which most of us are very familiar with. Here the definition of Shravanam first of all is given. Shravanam means listening to the name, pastimes and qualities of the Supreme Lord. Naam, Leela and Guna. Now before explaining the limb of Shravanam, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes the importance of Shravanam. Srila Prabhupada writes, hearing is the beginning of Krishna consciousness. It is the means to progress in bhakti. Everyone must be given the chance to hear in spiritual gatherings. When one links one's ear to give oral reception to the transcendental vibration, one can quickly be purified of the contamination in the heart. So Prabhupada is specifically was very stressful, he would stress this point a lot of time, that we should focus very much on our hearing, our Shravanam. Why? Because by doing proper Shravanam, we can progress in bhakti very fast. And he is repeating this point again in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, here in Nectar of Devotion. Hearing is the beginning of Krishna consciousness. Please pay attention here, beginning. So our Krishna conscious life begins by hearing about the Lord. It is the means to progress. This is also, you can progress by in bhakti, by hearing. Everyone must be given the chance. And one who does Shravanam, then he can be quickly purified of the contamination in the heart. So if there are contamination in the heart, one can easily get purified by doing proper Shravanam. Now I would like to mention that our chapter 9 ended at limb number 42. Now what we are doing here with Shravanam, limb number 43, we are actually now entered into chapter number 10. Here there is a reference from Garud Puran. So the reference says, what is the effect of hearing the holy name? Samsara sarpadashta nashta cheshtika bheshajam krishneti vaishnavam mantram shrutva mukto bhaven naraha. The bite of the snake of samsara can be counteracted by the medicine of Vaishnav mantra called Krishna, after hearing which one can be liberated. So again the same kind of analogy is given here, that simply if we have this medicine of Krishna entering into our ears, then that has the potency to cure us, to counteract the effect of the bite of a snake of samsara. Samsara sarpa. Samsara sarpa. Dashta. Dashta means the bite. Like that, they have glorified this hearing of Nam. So it is three types of hearing: Nam, the holy name; the Charitra. Charitra means the pastimes, the activities of the Lord; and then the final would be the qualities of the Lord, gunas. Here, this reference is from Srimad Bhagavatam. Asmin Mahan Mukharita Madhuvit Charitra Piyush Shesha Sarita Paritah Sravanti ये पिबंती अब अवित्रसो नृप गाढ़ कर्णैस तान्ना स्पर्शन्ति अशनात्रत भय शोक मोह. Very nice verse written in a very beautiful meter. I could not recite it in a meter in the view of time, but let us see the meaning of this verse. It says, in the assembly of great devotees, excellent nectarian rivers of pastimes of the Lord flow from the mouth of saintly devotees. Those who hear that nectar with eager, thirsty ears. Nripa Gadha Karnais. Karnais means ear, Gadha means with lot of eagerness. Will not be touched by material hunger, thirst, fear, lamentation, and illusion. Tanna Sparshanti Ashana Trid Bhaya Shoka Moha. Ashana means hunger, Trid means thirst, Bhaya means fear, Shoka means lamentation, Moha means illusion. So if you go into the assembly of great devotees, what is going on in that assembly? The devotees are talking about the glories of the Lord. The Lord is so nice. The Lord's activities are like this. Let me explain you what did the Lord said when he met such and such devotee. So like that, the katha is going on. And when this katha enters into the ears of such a devotee who is really eager to hear about it, so ye pibanti. Pibanti means drinking. Now this katha has been compared to a nectarian river of pastimes. Piyush Shesha Sarita. Sarita means river. Piyush means nectarian. So when these nectarian pastimes of the Lord, that river, that water of those rivers enter into the ear of those devotees who are eager to hear, then the devotee forgets about material hunger, thirst, fear, lamentation, illusion. He forgets everything about it. So that is the glorification of Charitra Shravanam. Then Guna Shravanam. Then Yastumma Shloka Gunanuvadaha Sangiyate Bhikshanam Amangalagna Tam Eva Nityam Shrunuyad Abhikshanam Krishne Malam Krishne Amalam Bhaktim Abhipsamanaha. What it says, one must hear the narrations of the Lord's qualities. Yasta Uttamaha Shlokaha Gunanuvadaha. Guna means his qualities. Uttama Shloka means it's a name of Lord Krishna. It means that the Lord who is described and glorified with choicest of poetry. That is why he is known as Uttama Shloka. So one must hear the narration of the Lord's qualities, which is always sung by great devotees, because it will kill all inauspiciousness in the heart. One must certainly daily and constantly hear about the Lord if one desires unalloyed bhakti unto Sri Krishna. Krishne amalam bhaktim abhipsamanaha. Amalam bhakti means without any tinge of karma and jnana, without any tinge of karma kanda and jnana kanda. Jnana kanda means impersonal liberation. So if with that kind of attitude, if one hears the qualities of the Lord, he can get unalloyed bhakti unto Sri Krishna. Now the limb number 44 is Tat Kripekshanam, expecting Lord's mercy. So here the verse is Tattenu Kampam Susumakshamano Bhunjane Vatmakritam Vipakam Hridbhag Vapurbhir Vidhan Namaste Jive Tayo Mukti Pade Sadai Bhag. So Tat Kripekshanam means expecting Lord's mercy. Expecting Lord's mercy means we are in this life in living our life where we get lot of difficulties in our life. So sometimes when we are getting these difficulties in our life, we might feel discouraged. There is no point in doing bhakti. Nothing is happening in my life. Everything is going as before. This is the bhakti is of no good use, etc., etc. So here, this verse actually describes what should be the mood and mentality of the devotee. It says, "O Lord, one who constantly waits for your causeless mercy, while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds. Bhunjan evatma kritam vipakam. Kritam vipakam means vipak. Pak means cooked. One, the kritam means our past deeds. Past deeds which have been properly cooked means which have been now about to fructify, which are about to give us the sinful reaction. Bhunjan evatma. Bhunjan means suffering. While patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds. And then what he's doing, he's suffering the past misdeeds, but he's still doing his bhakti. He's saying the person is still offering you respectful obeisances with heart, words, and body. Hrid, Vag, Vapurbhir. Vapu means body, Vag means speech, Hrid means our heart. So one who is constantly waiting for your mercy while suffering the reactions and continuing with his bhakti by offering his respectful obeisances with heart, word, and body. What is going to happen to such person is surely eligible for you, for that is his rightful claim. Is surely going to reach you, is surely going to attain you. For that, it becomes his rightful claim. Rightful claim means, I will explain you in the next slide what does rightful claim means. So here it is said, this verse is a guide for devotees. Srila Prabhupada writes, a devotee should not expect immediate relief from karma phala of the past. And how should a devotee live in this world? He should continue to perform his bhakti with sincerity. While performing the bhakti, the devotee will experience bliss of bhakti, which comes by such practice, by performing bhakti. And when he gets that bliss, he will be able to tolerate the sufferings due to the past misdeeds. And he will be able to think of Lord Krishna and patiently expect his mercy. Like that, a devotee should live in this world. So he should be patient enough that these sufferings are coming in my life because of my past misdeeds. I should not become disturbed by them. I should continue to perform my devotional service. And by performing these devotional service, I might get some joy, but that is not for which I am hankering. I am dutifully doing my devotional service because it is my duty. And if something positive is not still happening in my life, let me patiently expect Lord's mercy. I should not become impatient and become very neglectful of my devotional service. No, I should continue to do that. So that is the guide of a devotee. And what is the end result? End result is that such a person enters the kingdom of God. And the analogy is given is Dai Bhag. Like a son gets his father's inheritance. So how does a son get his father inheritance? If a son is faithful enough to the father, continues to cooperate with the father, continues to help and support the father. So ultimately, at the end of life, the father is going to give the inheritance to the son. But if a son does not do it like this, he becomes inimical to the father, he becomes blasphemous to the father, he becomes against the father, then the father may have a different mind. He may not choose to give all his inheritance to the son, may not give any of his inheritance to the son. But that is what the Lord is saying here, that if a devotee sincerely continues to hang on to his bhakti, then like a son who simply continues to faithfully serve his father throughout his life gets the inheritance naturally. Similarly, for a devotee who continuously, naturally, faithfully serve the Lord throughout the life, despite all the impediments, will actually get to enter the kingdom of the God. So that is how this verse is defining Tat Kripekshanam. 45 is Smriti, remembrance. What is the definition? Somehow or the other, connecting the mind to Krishna is called Smriti, which is known as remembrance. So Smriti means simply connecting the mind. the picture of the Lord is there in your room. You look at the picture, you got connected to Lord Krishna. That is called Smriti. It reminded of you, the picture reminded you of Lord. That is Smriti. Then reference is from Vishnu Puran and Padma Puran. It says, I surrender to the unborn eternal person Hari, by remembrance of whom one takes possession of all auspiciousness. I offer my respects to the omniscient Lord. Remembrance of his name, while living or dying, immediately destroys heaps of sins committed by man. So that is the glory of Smriti, remembrance, which takes possession of all auspiciousness. And our sins, heaps of sins are destroyed simply by remembering the Lord. So that is limb number 45. And limb number 46 will take some another 5 minutes. So I will take this limb number 46 in my next class. I don't want to hold you for too long. So with that, I will try to put a halt to this particular class. All glories to Nectar of Devotion, all glories to Bhakti Samrat Sindhu, all glories to Srila Rupa Goswami, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Any questions, any points, any takeaway from you, we can now discuss. Thank you very much for patiently listening to this.
It's an honor to listen to this kind of thing, Prabhuji.
Was it clear, Prabhuji?
It's a big honor that we are hearing something different that we never expected in our life.
Okay. Thank you very much for that compliment, Prabhu. I am really grateful to hear that remark. That gives me a lot of satisfaction that you feel like that. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Vidya Mataji, was it difficult? Was it too complicated?
No, it is becoming simpler to understand how it is written in terms of prayers and all, in terms of limbs.
Yeah. So naturally, many people would already be performing those limbs because
Yes.
culturally we come from, say, Hindu background, which is actually closely connected with the Vedic Sanskriti. So because of the cultural connection, we already might be doing many of those things. But now, when you read it from the scriptures, that actually it is not only culture, but the culture is actually coming from scriptures. That is the base of this culture.
Yes.
So now that becomes a little more authentic, lot more, I would say, official in that sense, and become more impactful to for our lives to accept all these limbs, because it is coming from scripture. It is mentioned by a very exalted saint like Srila Rupa Goswami. He is emphasizing on it, he is recommending on it, so that it becomes very, very impactful and useful to follow.
I
We
agree.
are very fortunate enough to listen to these lectures through you, and through your lectures we found the meaning of the culture we are doing every day.
Correct, Mataji. Yes, that's actually what drives me to do all this.
Yes, really, we are. I am very fortunate.
We are all fortunate, Mataji. I am also in that category only.
We are very,
I'm
very fortunate.
only sharing my good fortune. Yeah. So we all should appreciate and realize that how rich culture we belong to. We are belonging to the richest culture of the whole human existence. I would like to share my realization, and that is what it's coming out from these books. And personally, whenever I read this book, Bhakti Samrat Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, I also have that same feeling which you are now giving it to me, that we are so fortunate. Yeah. Thank you very much for that comment.
It is His bless. It is His bless we are hearing your lectures.
Yeah. Okay. So, are there any other comments, any other remarks?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, we are going to go.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Ishwar Prabhu, you want to say something, or that was bye-bye?
It's really very interesting, and for me there are many revelations because for a very long time I already told you that I have a Arya Samaj background, and all
Yeah,
these
yeah.
things they are they simply do not exist with the Arya Samajis.
Right,
So
right, right.
it's a reckoning experience for me, and things will gradually get into my mind. I am trying
Yeah, yeah.
hard, possibly I'll have at least some of them, if not all of them.
No, no, don't worry about it.
At this
Yeah.
stage, yes.
Yeah, this is a gradual process.
Right.
So, but certainly, if you are connected with it, you have developed an appreciation about these things. That is certainly a big progress, I would say. That is certainly a significant progress. See, you are going in on a certain tracks in one direction,
Yes,
and now,
particularly on these practical things, because I have
correct.
not been
Yeah,
hearing or reading about these things. They are quite new to
yeah.
new introduction in my life.
Yeah. So I would now also like to take this opportunity to connect whatever we are reading at the moment to the word rasa. Rasa means taste, like
Right.
Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. So what it means is that if you do these practical activities, you will experience that Bhakti Rasa. You will experience that taste. So that is what in the beginning of the classes, like in lecture number 1, 2 and so on, we discussed about Bhakti Rasa.
Yes, yes.
So this is the practical activities of Bhakti Rasa. If you do these activities sincerely, properly, then you can taste that Bhakti Rasa, that nectar of Bhakti, which is so relishing, so deep, so satisfying. You can taste that. And this is the practical ABCD of how to experience and taste that Bhakti Rasa. Just wearing the garland of the Lord can give you that kind of a bliss of Bhakti Rasa. Just smelling that incense that is burning in front of the Lord, you can experience that Bhakti Rasa, which is so delightful to the heart, which is very different from the mundane materialistic rasa.
Right, right.
You win a gold medal in an Olympic, you get some joy, you get some rasa. But when you smell the incense burning in the temple of the Lord, you also get joy. So that is Bhakti Rasa, which is different from any other rasa.
Right,
So now I'm trying to explain you the meaning of the word rasa as we explained. Now if you remember the Mangalacharan, Akhila Rasamrat Murti, that Mangalacharan in the beginning, Akhila Rasamrat Murti. So the Lord is the Murti of all the rasas. And this is what Bhakti Rasa which we are hankering for in our lives. So this is Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. And this rasa doesn't stop. This is actually a Sindhu. This is a big ocean.
right.
So like that you can summarize all the concepts which we have discussed in our previous class with what we are discussing now. And today I also try to explain you the meaning of word bhava and raga. Raga means spontaneous attraction, and the example given was very apt. The attraction of a boy towards a girl, and the attraction of a girl towards a boy. So they don't read books to get that attraction, but we have to read books. We have to follow the scripture to get that attraction. That is why it is known as Vaidhi Bhakti. Bhakti based on rules and regulation. Bhakti based on the practice of rules and regulation. That is sadhan bhakti.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I hope I'm trying to clarify the concepts as we are moving along, so that the past lectures also become more relevant and more deeply understood by the devotees. And we continue to do the effort for our next classes. And let us now stop. It is already 7:20. Unless and until there is a very pressing question by someone or a remark by someone, we will try to stop now. Okay, then I take your leave, take your permission. Thank you very much for your patient listening once again. And Hare Krishna, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Rakesh ji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Manish ji. Swagat.
Yeah, sorry, joined little bit late, but
Don't worry, don't worry. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Anupama ji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.